Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the YCTV Pass the Mic Christmas special. Yes, it's the same old shiznit back up in this bizatch for a Christmas special with one difference. We're not in the studio this time. They're filming some lousy YCTV Christmas special in the studio, so they didn't have enough room for our beautiful set. Now, everybody knows what a crazy, unpredictable show Pass the Mic is, which is why we will not bow to any seasonal pressure of the content of our show. Now, without any further ado, let's throw to our first guest, Father Christmas. Is it Saint Nick, Father Christmas, Santa Claus, or what? What do you like to be called?
Yeah, Santa Claus.
Thank you very much for welcoming us into your grotto here for our festive edition of Pass the Mic.
Yes.
We really appreciate it, knowing how busy you must be at this time of year.
Especially
finding out
year.
who's going to be naughty and who's going to be nice. Have I been naughty or have I been nice, do you know?
Well, so far, just right.
So what's the weirdest thing you've ever had a kid ask you for?
Well, the weirdest, well, it's not actually the weirdest, but I say to them, and what do you want for Christmas? And they turn around and say, a computer. And I'd say, and I look straight at the parent and I say, he wants a computer. And about 8 out of 10, you know, I either go, yes, or they go, look the other way, like.
Is Mrs. Claus the only housewife left in the world?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't got a Mrs. I do get some say to me, oh, where's Mrs. Santa? Either I say, well, she's too busy, or as I say, well, she wants to rest.
Well, Santa, I think I'm about to see delight in your eyes because I have a gift for you.
Oh.
If you'd like to pass me the pass... What the...
Oh, that's a lovely gift. It's unusual, man.
See, Santa, this isn't actually the Pass the Mic mic. This is a mic we've had to take off our camera because some dundas, who will remain nameless, forgot the actual Pass the Mic microphone.
Well, I like to hand this mic over to someone what can really find out if it really is going to snow this year. So can I hand it over to someone what can give me the results?
Now, to answer St. Nick's questions, we've come to a place where they're odds on to know if it's going to snow this Christmas. It's also one of my favourite lunchtime retreats. This is William Hill. I'm here right now with Graham Sharp, who's a spokesperson for William Hill, the bookies. Now, Graham, on Pass the Mic, as you know, the last person we had on the show has a question for you.
Really find out if it really is going to snow this year.
Well, odds-wise, it's 8 to 1, which means that if you put £1 on and it does snow, you would win £8. So that means for every 9 years, it would snow in one out of 9. Now, if you think it's more likely than that, you would consider it this is a good bet. If you think it's less likely than that, you might think it's a bad bet. However, you can nominate where you think it will snow. We have, I think it's a dozen different locations throughout the country where there are weather centres that are manned for 24 hours a day, and therefore they know whether it snows at 3:30 in the morning. And you can choose from any of those, as far north as Glasgow, or as far down south as Bristol, or across to Cardiff, and in the capital in London. And the current odds are 8 to 1, and if just one flake of snow or more should fall during the entire 24 hours of Christmas Day, then we will pay out.
So what would you say to me if I said...
I would say that's a remarkably poor impersonation of a tic-tac man on a racecourse.
Okay, so what is that all about, all this and the racecourse? So obviously you don't have that in your William Hill stores, but what does that mean?
No, we're a bit more advanced. We were able to communicate with people via the medium of screens these days, yeah.
Now, my grandfather spends a hell of a lot of time hanging out in his local William Hill establishment, and my grandmother's always saying, you know, can you come home, please? Can you come home? Can you come home? Now, what is it that he likes so much?
I think the real buzz of going into a betting shop and having a little wager, and it should always be a modest bet that you can afford to lose in the unlikely event that you manage to find a loser rather than a winner, is that it enables you to express an opinion.
Do you ever strive to get younger people in the betting shop?
Well, I think what we're seeing happening now is that the younger element are betting via the internet, for example, and we have internet sites on which you can place your bets now. You can place your bet via the telephone. You don't have to go into a betting shop. And it is fair to say that over a period of time, a slightly older, although I would identify with some of the people that you're telling me are elderly gentlemen in there, have chosen to go into the betting shops. But that doesn't mean that at certain times the younger punters don't come in. They might come in before the racing or the football match begins, place the bet, and then go away to watch it. So you may not have seen them there.
In your 20 years at William Hill, have you had any ridiculous bets that have really, really surprised you?
Well, I suppose one of them's coming up. We've got a bet that UFOs will land on the Millennium Dome on January the 1st, and that's going to cost me a small matter of £500,000 payout to George Vernon from Bristol if it proves to be correct. But I'm not going to lose too much sleep over the possibility of that. I would like to address a question to Frank Dobson, who I believe you ought to interview. And in all seriousness, I would like to ask him whether his advisors have told him that he would probably get 50% more votes if he shaved his beard off.
The magic and unpredictability of Pastor Mike continues on our Christmas special. Here we are at Frank Dobson's campaign office. Who would have thought that we would start off with Santa Claus, go to a bookie, and end up with another guy who looks just like Santa Claus? This is Frank Dobson's campaign office, or in fact the room where they do interviews. And this is not Frank Dobson. But this is. But the first question, of course, is who gets to sit in the lovely green chair? Yeah. So I guess should we flip some coins? That. And you win. So
right, thank you. Well, there we are.
All right, we're underway.
Do you realise virtually there's only 2 heads amongst all that lot?
That is
what an extraordinary
weird
coincidence, isn't it?
Should we try again? See what happens? That's chance for you, isn't
it? Don't let him toss you for anything, is it?
Frank Dobson's campaign offices are being painted on the outside right now by a man here. How you doing, bro? Now, we're a little worried that he could be a Tory spy sent by the Conservative Party to spy on Frank Dobson's campaign and listen into our interview. So it's very important we keep an eye on him. Our last guest was a chap named Graham Sharp, who is the press spokesman for William Hill, the turf accountants. Ever go to William Hill?
Not in recent years.
No
I've given up betting, really.
No time for a fluffer.
Except, no, I bet that Geoffrey Archer wouldn't finally be on the Tory ballot paper. Bet somebody a fiver, and I got my fiver.
And in all seriousness, I would like to ask him whether his advisors have told him that he would probably get 50% more votes if he shaved his beard off.
They've never told me that. Some people say so, but of course the people who say it have never seen me without a beard. Yeah. I mean, I'm as ugly as hell with the beard, but without it, I'm even worse.
I mean, I was thinking maybe that, you know, the first, got our BBC bag of tricks, that we could maybe have the first ever televised Frank Dobson shave.
No, you're not going to get that, no. No, definitely not.
It's too bad. Now, as this is YCTV and a dedicated youth channel, what commitments are you making for the young people?
One commitment I'm making is that everybody in London up to the age of 18 will be able to travel free on the buses.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think London transport is dreadful in most ways. There's a certain bus called the 52, which I have to wait for every day, and which some days keeps me waiting as long as an hour and 15, then turns up too full to take me. Now, you know, I'm sure this isn't, you know, this is a common story. Now, what will you do to try and rectify the bus situation?
Well, the main thing we've got to do with the buses is to make the rest of the traffic on the road obey all the rules about red routes, about bus lanes and things like that, so that the buses can actually get around quicker. And also, I think we've got to extend the bus lanes, and we've got to give the buses priority at junctions. At the moment, it's a very sort of half measure, the arrangements to help the buses, and we've got to really go for a really all-out effort to make sure that the buses can get around quickly, and if they can get around quickly, you can run a regular service much more easily if they're not being blocked and obstructed.
What is the situation with Ken? Will you be getting him a Christmas present?
No, but I only get Christmas presents from my family anyway.
Recently, there's been reports in the paper, this week in fact, that you, reports that you were on the verge of exhaustion, and that you maybe were having second thoughts about the job. Now, what truth is there in that?
There's no truth in that at all.
Where did they get the story from?
They got the story from Ken Livingstone, who for the last 6 weeks has been going around posing as Dr. Livingstone, I think, and a psychiatrist, and saying that I am clinically depressed.
So, I mean, for the outsider, especially for young people, it must seem it's a bit weird that, you know, you guys are in the same team, but you've got opposing views. But have you talked to Ken much?
Well, yeah, I've got on with him reasonably well, but I think going around saying behind my back that I'm clinically depressed, it's put me off a little bit, shall we say.
Good luck.
Right, you are.
Brilliant.
Thank you
very much. Excellent. That's about it for our Christmas special of Pass the Mic. All that remains for me to do is to bid you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Millennium. And this is me, Luke Hyams, signing off. And I will see you all on BBC Two in the next millennium. Really appreciate it, knowing how busy you must be at this time of year, finding out who's going to be naughty and who's going to be nice. Have I been naughty or have I been nice, do you know?
Well, so far, just right.
So what's the weirdest thing you've ever had a kid ask you for?
Well,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the YCTV Pass the Mic Christmas special. Yes, it's the same old shiznit back up in this bizatch for a Christmas special with one difference. We're not in the studio this time. They're filming some lousy YCTV Christmas special in the studio, so they didn't have enough room for our beautiful set. Now, everybody knows what a crazy, unpredictable show Pass the Mic is, which is why we will not bow to any seasonal pressure of the content of our show. Now, without any further ado, let's throw to our first...
Weirdest, well, it's not actually the weirdest, but I say to them, and what do you want for Christmas? And they turn around and say, a computer. And I'd say, and I look straight at the parent, and I say, he wants a computer.
Guest, Father Christmas. Is it Saint Nick, Father Christmas, Santa Claus, or what? What do you like to be called?
Yeah, Santa Claus.
Thank you very much for welcoming us into your grotto here for our festive edition of Pass the Mic.
Yes.
We